Hold on one second, you guys. Um, okay. All right. Welcome everyone to today's meeting, the Port Council on February 11th. I'd like to inform everyone that Sean Driscoll, the authority's communications director, is making an audio and video recording of today's meeting. Is there anyone else making an audio recording of today's meeting? If so, please identify yourself. If you are joining virtually, please press the raise hand icon on the Zoom dashboard. If you are joining by phone, by pressing number 9 on your keypad, and when you are recognized, please state your name for the record. Is anyone checking in?
Yeah.
Sean?
Jason?
Good morning, everyone. Jason Graziadei, Nantucket Current.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nobody from the Vineyard?
Yeah, I'm getting, sorry.
Okay.
I'm getting there. Louisa?
From the Vineyard Gazette, Louisa Huffstadter.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I got one. I got one more. Hang on.
Okay.
Unky?
Thanks, Sunday. Emmy Times.
Thank you. Mr. Salido is coming. I have to, that's all I see, Nat.
Okay. Okay, and pursuant to section 20 of chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021 as amended, Port Council members are participating remotely in today's meeting because of their physical attendances today would be unreasonably difficult. All Port Council members in attendance and all members participating in the meeting by Zoom video conference app will be clearly audible to each other. As a result, members' remote participation in this meeting and any and all votes taken by members today shall be by roll call. Okay. All right. So, hold on a second. I'm a little bit disorganized this morning. I've had a confusing morning going to the boat early and picking my family up. So, from the bean pot, that is
nice.
quite a feat to do that from Nantucket. I can tell you that.
Good effort. Solid effort.
Okay. All right. So who's here? All right. I got to go through the list here, Sean. We got Gordon.
Here.
Who else do we have? So I can't see, like, I don't have the gallery on my thing. So
Rob Munoz here, Nat.
Okay.
John Cahill, Tisbury.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
And who else is here?
Eric DeWicki is here from Fairhaven.
All right, Eric, thank you so much.
And
Okay.
Greg Egan from Barnstable.
Okay, Greg. And Joe is not here, right?
Correct.
I just
Okay.
sent Joe the link, so I think he'll be coming in a minute.
Okay. Excellent. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Minutes. Oh, sorry, John. Go ahead.
can we fix you so that you can see all of us, or is there something?
I'm trying to figure that out with the new thing now, and I'm not sure what button to press. So I don't want to like disappear by accident.
Yeah.
This happened to me. They've changed. I don't know. It comes up differently now. You don't have that little gallery thing to press. So, Sean, which one do you press? It says it's the raised hands all by itself now. You got captions, share. What is that?
There should be a view button somewhere. Are you on your iPad?
Yep. And it's a new iPad, so don't make fun of me. This isn't the old one.
Okay. Is there a view button somewhere? I'm not on an iPad, so I can't visualize it.
Yeah. I don't know. There's one that says share.
No, that's your screen.
Okay.
Bring your cursor
There it
up.
is. I just did it. Somebody did it. Did you do that for me?
Sure.
I didn't really do anything, and it just happened. So that's great.
I'll take credit.
Listen, I can do a lot of things, but this isn't my thing. So that's okay.
That's two of us, Matt. I had troubles this morning too.
Thank you, Joe. So you're here now. Thank you. Okay. So the minutes of January 7th, does anyone have any omissions, questions, additions? Otherwise, I'll accept the motion.
Motion to
Go ahead,
approve.
Joe.
Motion to approve.
No, I'm fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Who made that motion? Gordon?
I did. Motion to
Okay.
approve.
Second.
Second. Okay. Joe seconded. All those in favor, Gordon,
Aye.
Rob,
Abstain, wasn't here.
okay, John Cahill,
I was not here.
okay, Eric,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and Joe,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Thank you. Okay, management report. So we have up first, we have the Aquinnah and Monomoy status. Mark A.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So before we start here, just let everyone know who's here. Besides myself, Mark Amundson, Bridget Sullivan, Sean Driscoll, Mark Rosum, Janice Kennefic, Stephen Coleman, Allison Fletcher, Barnstable board member Robert Jones is in the room with us, as well as Sean, and I'm drawing a blank on the last name. Cameron, sorry. So, and Tom Innes is in the room, and I'm sorry, I don't know. Lizzie. Hold on. All right, so to begin with, an update on the Aquinnah and Monomoy project, and I'll turn that over to Mark.
Good morning, everyone. Busy time right now in ship repair and conversion for the Steamship Authority. We'll start off with Aquinnah and Monomoy. So she's sitting pier side in at Alabama Shipyard. So we're done, all our coatings and work is done, and we're prepping for the incline test on Thursday, the 13th. Next slide. Just some various views back of the house. Next slide. Finished with rescue boat, all installed with the new davit. Next. So upcoming, the freight coatings are complete. We have improved on the incline stability test date. That's now the 13th. And then post after that, we'll be doing engine mechanical startup. Sea trial will be sometime in March. Don't have a date, it depends on our testing, followed by Coast Guard and sea trials and the trip north. And that's the update on Aquinnah. Next is Monomoy. She's split in two right now. We're working, putting in subdivision bulkheads. We'll get to that slide next. So this is a cross-sectional view, putting in the new bulkhead, subdivision bulkhead. Next is just another closer view. So when this goes back together, that will give the segregation between all the voids in the parallel mid-body. Next. The bridge is, we get all the structure complete in there, and we're getting ready for installing the new consoles. Next, passenger lounge is stripped out, getting ready for the installation of the bulkhead panels. Next, Monomoy milestones, new bulwarks, prefab, they're all completed and being installed on the vessel now. Mid-body removal complete, stability test in June, and sea trials to be determined. So the financial picture right now on the vessel is payments made to date, 62.5 million, outstanding commitments, 15.7 million, and a current estimate at 78.7 million. This is for all three projects. Any questions?
Does anyone have?
I had a quick question. This is Greg. Just curious, who builds the bridge consoles? Is that the shipyard or is that a separate subcontractor?
No, we use EMS Marcon. They're building the consoles. I don't know, Greg, if you've had a chance to see the console on the Barnstable. This is designed by all the captains in the fleet. We had mock-ups about 2 years ago, because we wanted to have the right view and everyone good buy-in from that. So that's the status on that.
Yeah, no, thank you. They're very impressive. And I was just curious, who did that. Unrelated, is the rescue boats, are those original or they couldn't be to Hornbeck days, or are those new?
They had a different rescue boat. We made a commitment to the Zodiacs because they were, we do a lot of movement with our captains and our whole crew throughout the fleet. And we wanted, commonality, to have the same training, same everything. So it's easier for the crews.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else? I just want to make a comment. If anyone has any questions regarding these two vessels tied into the Barnstable, we'll wait till that comes up. We bring up any questions that are related that way.
All right, that was my question, so I'll wait for then.
Yeah, I think we should. It's not, we'll be talking about two different things at the same time. So Mark, the Woods Hole, or whoever is in, Bob, sorry, the Woods Hole terminal project status. I was thinking the MV Woods Hole, sorry.
Okay, all right, so update on that. I think since we last met with the Port Council, they completed the 434 GeoPiers. So I'm putting the slides up here, so. And I think there was a question last time as to how far those GeoPiers were 20 feet. I think I prefaced it by saying 15 to 20, but it was 20 feet deep. So then they ended up building the foundation rebar and the forms. They did complete the first pour of the slab. It's 3 feet 6 inches thick. So I think you're showing on the slides there that they're putting the forms together. Next. This goes back to when they were doing the GeoPiers, the equipment that they were using to do the GeoPiers. Next. So you can see that the rebar has been installed in that bottom left corner. And I think the top picture there from here, I think it's just the formworks, yeah. Next. Again, some of the formworks that they need to support it. Next. This is the utility building. So at this point, they've been working on, putting up the interior walls, starting the framing on those. They've been installing various piping that needed, whether it's for wastewater or for electrical. Next. And you can start to see that some of the work that they've been doing in terms of some of the piping and electrical. Next. As I said, so up on the second floor of the building, they've already installed the outer membrane for that, and you can see the markings there on the orange markings. That's the layout of what the rooms will be on the second floor of the building. And next. And they were able to install the PVC membrane roof on the building. So the pictures on the left are obviously after the picture on the right. So next. That's it. Okay. So thus far, we're about 35% done on the project, and tracking it about the same for the payments to date. I apologize, I didn't get an update on the change orders, but we've been those are well within budget at this point. But I'll get those numbers later on. We have sent out 265 emails regarding the project. So, and while we're talking about the Woods Hole Terminal building, I did want to bring up about we met with the town of Falmouth regarding the intersection of Luscombe and Railroad Ave. We had not applied for a curb cut permit because there's been ongoing changes to design. Back in 2021, we had talked with them about what the concept was. But since then, the project has changed. We've moved the bike parking area back towards the Crane Street Bridge, away from the waterfront. As you know, we, at the end there for the construction of the building, it was determined to eliminate one of the bus lanes behind, on the west side of the building, to move the building a little bit to the east. Excuse me, yes. Sorry, eliminate one of the bus lanes on the east in order to move the building to the east. But part of the application had been that there was, you need to identify who the contractor is, and we haven't gotten to that phase of the project yet, but we met with them last week. We discussed that with them about, we can't submit an application because we don't know who the contractor is. They agreed they just want to start seeing the design, so we've forwarded them the design, the current design of the curbing that we anticipate we'll be doing. And it ends up being a net reduction, a net decrease in the amount of curb openings that the site previously had. So we'll continue to work with the town on trying to address some of the concerns there. And part of our plan has included, what sort of traffic signs and things like that we'll be installing on the property as it meets up with the corner of Luscombe and Railroad Ave. So.
Thank you very much, Bob. It's pretty detailed.
Possible
anyone-
to ask a question or two?
Go ahead, Rob. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Bob, I'm just curious about, I mean, the newspaper articles referring to not being responsive and things like that. Can you address those for us? Number one. Number two, I do recall we had a site visit there. I think it might have been two years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. We had the town, we had a whole host of people walking the whole property. And I guess I'm surprised that this turned out to be an unknown that bubbled up the way it did, given that everybody, including, the half a dozen representatives of the town in terms of what the layout was going to be.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it had to do with as I said, back in 2021, we had met with I think actually, Rob, you may have been a participant at that meeting as well, that we had met with the town DPW and engineering department and discussed the plans on, the concept of what we were doing. We understand that the town is concerned about that area where people stopping to pick up and drop off people and impeding upon the traffic on Luscombe. At one point, we had pulled fencing back to try to get those people onto our property. The fencing keeps getting moved one way or the other. So that's been an ongoing concern. But the changes in the project in terms of, the siting of certain elements have changed since 2021. So we do have where we believe we're going to end up being for the final design, and that's what we did forward to the town following our meeting last Thursday with the town. So I think, we did point out that, part of this had been discussions with the Falmouth Fire Department regarding the need for emergency vehicles to access the property from different locations. We had met with the Falmouth Historic Commission or Historical Commission. I forget how they're labeled, and discussed that as well in terms of where the awnings for the solar and how those could be across parallel to the railroad Ave. As part of our proposal to the town, following some meetings that we had with them, we'll be looking and we'll be recommending to the board, if everything gets approved here, that we establish a sidewalk on the south side of Railroad Ave. It's actually on town property, so we'll have to get approval from them to do that, but along the south side of Railroad Ave to put a sidewalk as well, so that way try to help mitigate some of the pedestrian and bicycle crisscrossing of Railroad Ave. And we also had talked about being able to, when we're doing the site work, that we'd be looking to regrade that entire intersection as well, because it's, we're gonna have to, there will be some of the stormwater management that we need to do to keep it on our property. We'll have to regrade that area anyway, so we're proposing that we'd be doing that, so.
Okay,
So that
Rob,
is
you good, Rob?
Yeah, I guess I would still, I'm trying to understand, seems like there was a communication issue. And all of the technical details you've just described all make sense, but I guess it seems like there was some kind of a breakdown in the communication process, because otherwise it wouldn't have gotten quite all of the attention that it's gotten. And you know, and also I guess the fact that there is a traffic issue that's existing, assuming that all of those reports are correct, you know, that in the process of the construction, there seems to be a little bit of a, maybe there's more that we could do to solve the traffic problem.
Right, yeah, and that's one of the things is that the meeting that we had on Thursday included Chief Laurie and Sergeant, sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his last name, who's in charge of the traffic, in charge of the traffic group, and pointed out that, you know, right now we have some temporary signs, stop signs that we have posted up there, but it's pointed out that they're not, they need to be positioned higher and at different locations. So we're going to be working with them and making sure that we have those situated so that way people actually see them to obey them, so they're not just racing out onto Railroad Ave there. You know, we did you know, discuss, you know, ultimately the end. I mean, there used to be a stop sign at the corner of Luscombe. When you went onto Railroad Ave, that sign disappeared some time ago. I'm not quite sure when, but we're looking at that, and as I said, you know, going forward, you know, we're want to be you know, cognizant of, you know, the impacts that we have on the community, but also, you know, our operations. We had previously met with DPW and the town engineering and a consultant they had about the traffic circulation, and they were looking for more of the traffic, in particular our buses, to be circling around the building and up Cowdery to exit. But the turning radiuses won't allow that, for one thing. And the other thing is that it ends up that we'll be having our buses crossing over 3 of the busiest crosswalks for people going back and forth from the terminal building to the vessel. So you know, we continue to discuss that, and we, you know, pointing out the, you know, when we met with them, we went over that. So we'll try. I think the final design, I think, will hopefully address all their concerns, and if they have any others, we'll look at those and see what needs to be done.
Thank you.
Okay,
Hey, Nat,
everyone. Yes, go ahead.
I'm just curious if there's a plan to have a public meeting to go over some of these things. I know, you know, when we are working on a project in Fairhaven, our campus is strewn around the center of Fairhaven, and we want to make sure we're being good neighbors, and we invite all the neighbors to participate in a conversation external to the kind of the folks that are running the town. Is that in the works? Is that a good way to kind of squash fears and anxiety amongst the people who are, you know, the taxpayers and the people who will be using the facilities?
Yeah, so I think the last, you know, we of course provide updates to the board and port council as we go along. I think the last, you know, the major thing that we were doing is when we were doing the design for the terminal building and what the design of that building was. We've had numerous meetings, you know, workshops and whatever on that.
I can get him the list.
Yeah, we can get you the list of and I think it's, some of it is listed on our website, but we'll get you the list of all the public meetings, and it's, yes, we're not, we're not trying to do this in a vacuum, and obviously, you know, working, you know, more communications the better, type thing, but again, this final phase, that we'll be looking to put out the bid here, next couple months, and awarding that in the fall. So that way, when the terminal building and utility building are completed in the spring of 2026, we'll be able to move right into the final site portion of the project, and that includes the plans for Cahoon Park, to rebuild Cahoon Park.
Great. No, I think it might be a good idea to have a public meeting just to inform, not to make it a debate, but inform of the plans, keep the community engaged. I think it's always a healthy process. You know that, you know, you've done a good job, you know, by far with what you've done so far. But when, you know, the press grabs a hold of something, you know, their idea, their role in life is to whip up the community. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you got to stay ahead of that. And I think this is a great way to engage the community directly.
Yep, no, understood.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. We good, John? Don't see anyone else. Okay. So next item is the actual Woods Hole. Yep. Sorry, Bob.
I'll ask Mark to give that update.
So right now, the Woods Hole is in dry dock at Dames Shipyard in New London, Connecticut. So this is a picture before she was blasted on the underside. Next slide. This is, we continue to have some rubbing of, you know, sand erosion on the, not on the steel, but just on our coatings up forward. Next slide. This is a picture, we're taking the blades down, we're sending both of our shafts for machining to Steinling and Brothers in New Jersey. And the rudders are coming down, they're already down and the shafts are already en route. Next slide. This is a picture of the bow thruster repairs. Just maintenance. So we have, give me 1 second. So we have the contract value is 1.2 million. We have 22,000 in credits right now, so our project value at the moment is 1.22 million. We haven't received any change orders for shaft repairs, etc., but we're on budget for the Woods Hole project. Any questions?
Looks good. We need that. We need her back.
So real quick, Matt, if I may.
Yes, go ahead, Eric.
So Mark, you talked about sand erosion. Is that from sediment or, you know, bottom
Hyannis.
not
Hyannis.
dredged? It's Hyannis.
Yeah.
Are you guys hitting the bottom, or what's going on there?
Yeah, we get there's a lot of, we are getting erosion of our coatings. We're not seeing any diminution in any other areas, but when it gets stirred up, it affects, we have cutlass bearings in the stern area supporting the shaft that has an effect on there. And like anything else, sand between a bearing and the shaft, we get a lot of shaft erosion, which means we've got to build that up and machine it. We're seeing it on Eagle, we're seeing it on the Woods Hole. So that's something until we get some dredging done and some relief in that area, we're going to see this same type of extra maintenance that we would not normally have.
When was the last time that was dredged, if anybody knows?
Rob, you may know the.
It was emergency dredge.
Yeah, it was an emergency dredge because it was to the point where we couldn't get in and out. I want to say it was somewhere around 2012, 2013, somewhere in that time frame.
Okay, it might be worth a letter to the Army Corps, and I can help you draft that if you want.
Yeah, so we have had discussions with the Army Corps, at the time that they, the availability of dredges, and when we had done some hydrographic surveys, we provided them to the Corps, they did their own. Most recently, they came back saying that, it's not nearly to the point that it was 10, 12 years ago. But I keep showing them the pictures of, you know, the cutlass bearings that, you know, when the vessel's on the Vineyard route, we can go multiple dry docks before we have to replace those. And when they're on the Nantucket route, we have to replace them every dry dock. So back in the fall, there was a amendment that was added to the authorization bill for the Corps of Engineers, in which on the House side, both on the House side and the Senate side, they put in it that the Corps needs to prioritize harbors that provide lifeline services to islands in terms of dredging projects. And so that, because the language was in both sides, and that bill moved forward, they didn't have to reconcile that item. So we're trying to arrange a meeting again with the Corps to see how things, you know, how that's changing the prospects of us getting a dredging done here in Hyannis. But with the change in administrations and everything, there's been a lot of, obviously, is up in the air at the moment. So we'll continue to try to follow up on that.
Yeah, if you and I could chat about that and maybe kind of have a discussion as to who to call. We've worked a lot with the Corps throughout the US for other clients, and I think this is a no-brainer based on the Infrastructure Act. So yeah, thank you.
I think what Mark was showing too, in terms of the impact on the Woods Hole. Well, this past summer, the Woods Hole, instead of being on the Nantucket route, was on the Vineyard route, so it actually didn't run as much on the Nantucket route as we had originally planned. So it's probably not as bad as it's not good, but it's not as bad as what it would have been had the boat been running here. But it affects all of our boats. Every boat that runs on the Nantucket route, you know, has it has impact on whether it's the coatings or the cutlass bearings or whatever. So.
And just a simple addition is, maybe, I don't know if Eric could chime in though, but the nourishment of sand. I mean, we need sand. I mean, we're hauling sand from pits to Nantucket by barge and dumping it on the beach, which is unbelievable, but that is exactly what we're doing. So you'd think that with the nourishment issues, and would help make something like this a little bit easier to coordinate, or more reason to do it, besides just the, you know, obvious needs. You know, there's other needs for that sand. You know, they built that thing that jots out there, that jetty thing, that was done from a big dredge. Bob, what year was that? Mid-80s?
Yeah, no, it was in the 90s, I think, but that's when they straightened out the channel, and
Yeah.
they widened the channel. And actually, we had I think we had contributed a sizable amount of money towards that project ourselves at the time. So you know, again, I think we need to be having those renew those discussions with the Corps, because obviously some of this is going to be in terms of any big project. They would need to be doing the environmental you know, sampling of what, and make a determination as to whether that the materials that they'd be removing, whether those would be you know, materials that could be used for a beach nourishment, and if so, where would they go? So.
Okay. Next item is the Iyanough. Mark?
Okay,
Wow.
the Iyanough is at Fairhaven Shipyard in Fairhaven, Mass, undergoing its statutory dry docking. So this is a picture of her coming out of the water with the travel lift. So we found a crack in the forward area. You can see the plate removed. That's being replaced. Next, this is another area that we've found some a crack in the starboard jet guard. We're replacing the jet guard, and we cropped and renewed that plate, as you can see, that's been removed. Next, this is the although it's inverted, this is a new guard platform replacement. Next. So the dry dock highlights, obviously hull coatings, ride control maintenance. We have a bunch of windows we're replacing and shell plate renewals. And with that, we have the presently right now that the budget is $531,595. We haven't had, we'll have a change order update at our next board meeting, and right now the current value is $509,595, but that will increase because we have that steel renewal that up forward and some other areas.
Aren't we swapping out one engine? Mark?
We got that all planned. Soon as she gets to the, get back over to first of all, we're on budget and on time. As soon as we get over to Fairhaven, our maintenance facility will be swapping the engine out.
Okay.
Everything's set.
Okay,
It's
Great.
our people, it's our people that'll be doing that.
okay. Sorry, I didn't realize that. Thank you. Anyone have any other questions on that? Near and dear to my heart, yeah, I know. So, Mark, just a quick question. The cracks, was that was part of some of the stuff that happened over the course of the last cycle? They're fixing, more of, permanent or whatever. Is that part of it? I know there was something in that water jet area.
Well, as part of, yes, and that back up forward, as part of our statutory dry dock, we do a close-up examination and with the US Coast Guard, but we do extra inspections. Again, you have paint that's covered the area, you take the paint down and you get a chance to see the entire area.
Yep.
So we did find that crack. It may be, we don't know what the failure mechanism was, whether it's docking damage, whether it's fatigue, but we found it, we propped and renewed, and it's really not that indifferent from steel repair on a conventional vessel. But it's just part of our maintenance, our planned maintenance of every 2 years of taking this down and doing a very close-up survey of the structural aluminum in this case.
We're lucky to have that place to go over there with that lift.
Yeah, it's a fantastic place.
Unbelievable. I still can't believe how convenient that is. Anyone have any other questions on the Iyanough? If none,
real quick, I just
Okay.
want to say, hey, Mark, great job. The planned maintenance program seems to be working. You're going to save money in the long haul. So, bravo Zulu to you. This is good stuff to listen to. I love the shipyard periods of my lifetime, and everything I hear every month in your reports really makes me feel good about the direction we're heading in. And it's you deserve a pat on the back, because honestly, that's not a tough job, not an easy job. That's a tough one to wrangle with, and you got a whole fleet to deal with. So thank you.
I got a very talented staff with port engineers, so this isn't a one-man, this is a team effort.
Thanks, Mark.
excellent. Okay. Is anyone else on? Or are we good? We'll move on to the island home.
Okay, the island home is in Fairhaven at our maintenance facility, and one of the big things we're doing, a scheduled planned maintenance, and that's the main engine overhauls. And this is a group, MSI, they're part of EMD, which is doing the overhaul on the engines for a standard 30,000 hour main engine overhaul, including turbochargers. Next. And also what we've done is last year we did this is kind of a long-term planned maintenance. We did the main cylinders on the on the ram replacement with our spares, and this year we're doing the other side, and that's a lot with also hose replacements, and when we're done, we'll have the cargo bureau come in to certify the lift and back into service. So we're right on where we want to be for getting the Island Home back in service. Any questions?
Looking good. We got the timing. I just have a little bit of a question that Mark, this has come up over the years, like forever since I started being involved in all this. The timing of dry docks must be like the worst thing to deal with for everyone, because you've got certain times of year where the boat that you really need can't be used, and then the following year it's fine. You know, I remember talking about this in the past with the Eagle being off at the wrong time, and that's actually changed. We used to want it off in January and February because of weather, and now it's the other way around. It's just bizarre. But I'm just curious if there's ever a way to make it more, the timing better than it, in the past. But like for the Vineyard route right now, they have the MV and the Nantucket run. I mean, maybe it's working perfectly fine the way it is. Maybe it's more important that that they're off all right now. Well, it's slow.
Yeah, just like that, in a number of years ago when I first took over, we really paid a lot of attention to doing extra ultrasonic gauging on the hull to have a real good idea of steel that we would anticipate having to renew over the lifetime of the vessel. So it's not just a look ahead. When we do our annual steel reviews right now and gauging, we're doing that for the next dry docking. So
yep.
Our goal is to maintain schedule. So when the boat goes in, it comes out at the right time. And I think we're pretty good, except for we got some weather this past couple of weeks, which has inhibited placing some of our hull coatings on in the Woods Hole. But I think we'll be going back in service on time. But we do have wintertime, situations where we have to overcome schedule wise. So far.
I mean, it seems like this winter, the most important boats are out and it's working. So that's a good thing. And what you're saying, I see what you're saying. You're saying you have a plan when these things come out, long range sort of repairs versus just, standard maintenance. So anyway, that's good. So,
so if I could just add, I think, part of this in terms of, Mark pointed out about the being a lot more forward looking in terms of looking at what taking samples of the hull plating, so we know areas that we need to be aware of going forward. But most of our vessels, the Coast Guard requirement is to be dry docked twice in a 5-year period, no longer than 3 years apart. And it's probably been 14, 15 years now where we've taken the approach that we do these dry docks every other year. So over a 10-year period, it's an extra dry dock, but we feel it's necessary to be able to keep the fleet going, and to work on it. There is no good time to take the Island Home off.
yes.
And but I think the dry dock repair schedule usually looks out 4 years in advance when we're doing this. We try to make it so that way from a budgeting standpoint that we balance things out. We're also looking at from a service standpoint that we're able to provide service during the times that's all times of the year. So I think that's another piece of it. With the new to us vessels, the Barnstable, Aquinnah, and Monomoy, we'll be revisiting that repair schedule and to see what we need to be doing. There may be some adjustments that we may want to be doing in terms of when certain vessels are slotted to be out for repair or whatever, but that's still to be determined. We haven't been able to fully scope that out at this point.
Okay, this is great. Appreciate it. So if anyone has anything else, we'll move on to item 6. Reservation system requests.
Okay, so this was reported last month. We issued the request for responses back on December 10th, 2024. We've had 26 requests thus far for the package. We have had a number of questions, so we issued addendum number 1 back in December, on December 20th. There was 9 questions that had come forward at that point. Addendum number 2 was issued on this January 10th. There were 20 questions that came out of that. Addendum number 3, based on those previous questions that were asked, we did extend the due date for the proposals by 2 weeks. Addendum number 4 was issued on January 29th. That responded to another set of questions, 20 of them in total. And just this past week, on Friday, addendum number 5 was issued, responding to 5 questions. So we've had, 54 questions so far. The deadline for questions has ended, and we expect submittals on February 21st, and then we'll start the evaluation on those going forward. Meanwhile, just while we're talking about IT, I just want to.
Yeah, well, sorry, I'm freezing up here.
Hold on. Sean's having a.
Of course, when we talk about IT, my computer freezes.
Yeah. Just want to point out, so back on January 28th, we had the general opening for the Nantucket route for the summer reservations. We did over 6,600 transactions and over $4 million of activity on that first day. And you can see the number of transactions that we're able to handle at one point was up over just short of 350 transactions a minute. Last year, the peak transactions were about 180, 175, 180 transactions. So Stephen and the IT group were worked very hard to make it a success. And you'll see the following week on February 4th, we opened up with the Vineyard route. We did over 21,000, almost 21,500 transactions for $6.9 million. And in that case, the peak number of transactions was up over 700 transactions in a minute, versus last year was about 250, 260 transactions in a minute. So I think from, obviously some people didn't get the trips that they were hoping for. I think they hopefully they waitlisted, because their wait list is a great feature. But I think Stephen, the IT team, and all the vendors that we were working with, IMOC, InterSystems, our credit card processor, am I missing someone? What? Oh, and of course, our reservation system, Sabertech. I think it's was a great opening, and we expect this going forward, if not better.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chair, may I?
Go ahead, John.
Thank you. Hey, Bob, going back to the RFR, are we still on schedule to make a decision by mid-April?
Well, the one schedule that I had seen on that had it being the end of April. And I don't believe at the time that the discussions had been that it has to be around a board meeting date for the board to approve. So we'll work on that to see. And I think a lot of it's gonna be dependent upon how many proposals we get. If we get one or two, we may be able to, stay on track for that original, award date. If we get 5 or 6, it may need, more time to vet each of these proposals. So, I think as once we open them up, find out how many we have, I think we'll have a clearer understanding as to when we can probably be looking to award it.
And then a follow-up, if I may, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
What are we doing to make sure that we're getting our staff, your staff, ready for this change? I mean, I look at this as much as a business process redesign as a technology, equal effort. So, we want to be able to take advantage of the features and functions that will be offered by any of these reservation systems. So are we spending time looking at ways to improve those things?
Well, as part of that IT project that started, it's almost 2 years ago now, actually, I think. They are looking at the IT governance and have been meeting in that regard and following up on the development of a plan for that. I think, Stephen and Tom Hyannis have been very involved in getting that, the footing on that all secured. So we should be, moving forward in that regard. I think the group for the reservation system, it's a diverse group of people, users, that will, once a determination is made as to what system, they need to be the subject matter experts on that, so that way they can then relay it to, the rest of the staff and the frontline personnel.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, if I may.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
The RFR, I'm glad, John brought that up. This is probably the thing I'm the most nervous about, with everything that I've seen. And I just haven't felt comfortable with the feedback that I've received when I've asked questions. Is there a way for us or an independent internal body? I know you farmed this out for an external body or a third party to review. Is there a way for us to review the proposals and actually, engage with your team, maybe create a committee to really participate? Because I just haven't felt fully comfortable with this process. And I think this is the most important thing outside of the infrastructure that you have on your plate, because this is the revenue generator. This is the, when somebody logs in and creates these relationships with the organization, this is the future of, the face of the Steamship Authority, right? And how the public interfaces with it. So I would really like to participate, from a standpoint that I don't feel 100% comfortable with the process right now. No offense to anybody, but just giving you my direct and honest feedback. How can that happen?
Can I answer that question, maybe?
What?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Who
I'm
wants
sorry?
to take that question?
I can help, Bob, but Bob, you want to take first pass?
Yeah, I'll take first pass here. So, in terms of that, once we start having 4 council members or board members involved, we end up having open meeting issues in terms of those evaluations would have to be done in a public session, and that may potentially, defer some candidates from submitting a proposal. We'll be more than happy to provide whatever proposals we have to each of you, and if you would like to, provide some feedback, or on a one-on-one, we can have those discussions. But I think the issue ends up being an open meeting. We do have Gibbous is also part of this of the evaluation in terms of looking at what the keeping keeping us on track in terms of how those evaluations are being structured and evaluated. And so whether we are able to provide, a more frequent update, whether it's some sort of summary of the activities, and then we can, of course, any feedback from Port Council board members would be, would take into consideration as well.
Could I ask if council could provide an opinion, if that would be a conflict? If two or less participated in something like that, I think that in a written opinion.
Terry, you on right now? I got my gallery thing figured out, guys. So
Gentlemen,
I'm a genius now.
any subcommittee that is created to advise the board in any way, made up of current members, is a public body under the open meeting law, and as such, any meeting of that group should be done in accordance with the open meeting law. And I've provided several times opinions on this, and I can certainly send you one, Eric, so you can take a look at it. But yeah, so if you take current members from, basically you're going to be advising the board at the end of the day. And so it's just a subcommittee of the board. It's similar to what we're doing with the GM search committee.
Sure. So Terry, I think, I certainly agree with you, but I think, my question is, if the numbers are low enough, does that enable that potential? And yeah, if you could send me something in writing, that would be great. Thanks.
Sure, I can do that, Eric. Yeah. Okay.
Chair, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Eric, maybe I can round out a little bit further what is going on, and it also remind the Port Council that it was back in the fall we established a IT task group, and that consists of one board member, which is Peter Jeffries, myself, Mark Rosem, Steve Coleman, Tom Ennis from Gibbs and his staff, and we do meet monthly, as well as emails flow back and forth. So we've been an integral part of that process, and I'd be happy to share with you what we've been doing if you want to just give me a call. Thank you.
Thanks, John. That would be great.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything? Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate all the back and forth on this. I guess I would, in terms of what our remit is, I guess I would want to make sure that we maintain the line between governance and management on this process. And so I don't know if there's a mechanism that would satisfy you, Eric, in terms of just having some a view into it, and maybe more specific updates would make some sense. But in terms of us having a role in the actual review of the proposals, I guess I would caution that is a management job as opposed to a Port Council job.
No, thanks. That's solid clarity. I think if I can engage with John, that would be great. And my view is, I just want to make sure that I can be helpful, where we do own a relatively large software company. We won't bid on the project, that's for sure. But
I totally understand. I totally understand that, and we have some expertise between yourself and John here in this world. So I hate to not take full advantage of that.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm just excited about the gallery button. All right. So what else? What else we got? Rob, your hand's still up. Okay. So we done with that? We'll move on to the most important topic of this meeting. So I just urge everyone, before we start talking about this, please be patient and think before asking questions. This is going to be very informative. Thank you.
Sure. All right. So we want to be able to provide an update as to the MV Barnstable's performance thus far. So, next slide. So, the start of line service, as you probably are all aware, was delayed. We end up having, a leak was discovered in the reduction gear lube oil cooler, which Mark has gotten us a picture of. There was an issue with next. So that's some of the plates that are in this cooler. You know, it's essentially like a radiator, correct, Mike?
Correct.
It's, you know, for the cooling of the system. And next. There was an issue with a thermostat control valve in the system, which resulted in damage to the seal on the cooler. We had to replace the seal on that. But part of this had been that we discovered that we need to add a block heater to the system to account for the colder temperatures. These vessels previously operated down in the Gulf and weren't used to having these cold temperatures, so we need to add a block heater to keep the viscosity of the lubricant going. So at this point, you know, we made those adjustments. We got the vessel back in service. We can forward this diagram. I know it's hard to read if anyone wants to see the particulars of it, but. And then once we got the cooler issue resolved, we started having the deck loading issues. It's a learning curve. It still is for our crews and our terminal personnel in terms of how best to load the vessel. This was a sample. I think this is the first trip that they did with the hazardous. So you can see that they had what is this? 6 hazardous and a couple straights on either side. But we have had an issue with the weight, what the draft ends up being of the vessel with the weight. So essentially, we get somewhere up around 650,000 or 700,000 pounds of weight on board. The stern ends up being over 10 foot. And so it puts it into a different, you know, operating parameters. So the certificate for the vessel is that it should be, you know, just short of 1 million pounds. So we're trying to, Mark has been working with the naval architect on solutions on how to be able to adjust the ballast system to be able to account for it. It seems to only be happening at this point with the first trip, which is the out of Hyannis, which is the hazardous run. It generally hasn't been happening on any other trips. But, you know, we need to get this resolved. We need to be able to carry, you know, what we expected this vessel to be carrying. And, we'll be stuck in here to the spring. We're gonna have trucks carrying bark mulch over or aggregate or whatever. So, we'll start having some more weight showing up here in the not too distant future. So this is something that we really need to be working on to try to get it resolved. And part of this will also be, as I mentioned, there was a learning curve for how we load the vessel, and maybe we need to be looking at, a preferred loading scenario in which we're able to maximize the weight on board the vessel. Do I have another slide? Okay, we can go back to the other one. So again, we're looking at that. We did have initially, it was taking upwards of 40 minutes to load the vessel. I think those times have vastly improved as the terminal and vessel crews, and they're doing a great job out there trying to get it resolved. So, but we did have, because of those loading times, and then we also had next slide. We did have an initial issue with the speed of the vessel. in terms of, it wasn't, we needed to be making between 12 and 13 knots. Well underway. We were looking at closer to 10.5 to 11.5 knots for a while there. And Mark, I think, can explain what was done to address that issue.
We have a lot of small issues we're placing together, including draft and the amount of ballast. Just to mirror what Bob was saying, we expect the new stability letter to be issued today, and that allow us to carry the intended cargo. And we've been working right now. We've had some, not issues, but we've taken a 24-foot mid-body section out. We've shortened the water line, and right now we have we're having Brunval, the maker, it adjusts the engine horsepower and speed in relation to the pitch. And right now we're redoing or relooking at the map of that profile, which has limited us in speed. So we expect some more tinkering, probably another week of data, and then we're going to have a new program loaded in for the combinator mode on the pitch speed relationship, and we will be back to our intended 12.5 knot average service speed, which is the goal.
So most recently we have been, well within that, 12.2 and 13.2 knots with the vessel. So they're able to maintain schedule on that with those sailing times. But it was something that, in part, trying to, get familiar with the vessel. And, as Mark pointed out, the characteristics of the hull are different now than they were originally because of the hull being 24 feet shorter than it previously was. But if anyone want to start the discussions or?
Yeah. Eric, is that your hand from before or now? Sorry.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So as a kid who grew up, my dad actually played the role that Mark is playing right now. And at the end of the day, when you have new projects, you're going to have bugs. And I think that just, for public's sake, allow the bugs to occur. It sounds like some rate adjustments are being made, some proactivity is being made. So me as a ship owner as well, I know, when stuff hits the fan and you have to make adjustments. The key with ships is most folks don't realize it. These are small communities. They're not just small houses on the water, and they are, sewage systems, ballast systems, everything, crew that are driving these things. It's really imperative for everybody to be patient, to allow the bugs to be taken care of. And again, Mark, Bravo, Zulu to you. It sounds like, today you'll receive the new stability letter. You're going to get that propulsion adjusted, to the community, to the greater community that uses these vessels. Please be patient because it sounds like these guys are doing a good job. Thank you.
Okay, Rob, you go next, please.
Yeah, thanks. I guess this was a list of 4 items, I think, that I've got in my notes here. It would seem that there's some sense of some urgency to understanding the solutions to all of them, so that if there were any adjustments needed to be made in the Monomoy and the Aquinnah, you'd do them, while they're still in the shipyard. An obvious one is that if you need a block heater, you got to add a block heater now to the other 2 boats. The deck loading sounds more systemic, so that seems to me to be pretty urgent to understand the scope of that problem. And the loading times, that's just I'm curious, you mentioned it originally took 40 minutes and then it's improved. What's the new number and how close is that to what you'd like to be achieving? But I guess my main point is, now's the time to understand the scope of the problem so that we can make whatever adjustments we can make to the two other vessels while they're still in the yard.
Okay, so I'll start addressing from the last point. So the loading times, I know we've gone from those 40 minutes. I did see that there was a trip, it was all trucks going to Nantucket, all trucks coming back from Nantucket. They offloaded and loaded within 15 minutes and we're underway. So, it's again, the crews and the terminal people are working hard at making sure that, and a lot of it is, pre-planning, knowing what the load is going to be and having those trucks lined up in the order that they need to be loaded. And each pilot has a different idea on how to do it, but we'll be working on trying to work with all the pilots in terms of being able to be the most efficient while maximizing the loads. And the deck loading is part of this. We need to today at I don't know what time is it now. In about an hour, we'll have our first astronomical high tide. So we'll look at that to see, make sure that we haven't had any issue with whether a high tide or a low tide unloading the vessel. But again, some of this is just to keep looking at making sure that we've checked all the, we think we've checked the boxes. We just want to make sure that we've double checked them at this point. So and yes, I think the point about learning from what we're doing with the Barnstable and transferring that to the Aquinnah and Monomoy, whether it's a block heater or making sure we have spares available for the cooler seals, things like that, those are all things that we're hopefully learning. So.
Yeah, I mean, another one comes to mind. If there's some engine tuning that you're doing now related to the Barnstable, that could be a part of what you incorporate into the two other vessels.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. You guys all set before I start talking? Greg, oh, you got your hand up, Greg. Go ahead.
Thank you, Nat. I would generally sort of echo Eric's comments. Anyone who has sort of experience in these types of things recognizes that that these issues are not shouldn't be surprising. With the modifications these vessels have had, trim, stability, dialing in the engine, the waterline length has changed significantly. So these things aren't surprising. It sounds like Mark and his team have the expertise and the contractors. They're working with the naval architects. I think it's just a matter of time before these things get really nicely dialed in, and the learning curve concept is excellent, and the value of scale here. We likely won't have these type problems with the follow-on boats. So I would just want to thank the Mark and the whole staff and the vessel crews for spending the time in getting this really dialed in.
Agreed. Thank you for that. So I just want to personally thank Mark Munson for his efforts in this. Had a chance to speak to him in recent week in length about all this. My phone blows up every day. That's my choice of the whole world having my phone number, which is just becoming harder as I get older. This morning there was some issues, and hopefully today is the last day that happens. So the pictures you saw with the tankers, just for everyone's understanding, the other boats could carry eight tankers, but that's it. Okay, and 8 is a very rare number to have. But that number does need to happen on occasion. Okay. How do I say this? The rest of the day, there will not be a problem with weight. Whether there's not going to be 8 bark trailers or 8 gravel trailers on the same boat. And if there was, that can be solved. But that first trip of the day, leaving Hyannis, is the most important trip of the entire day on Nantucket, Monday through Saturday, because it sets the stage for everything that goes on over there. It's sort of like the 610 High Line. That trip doesn't run, Nantucket has a holiday, essentially. You can notice the traffic difference when that boat doesn't run. Seriously, that isn't like made up. So the bugs that are in this, we had bugs with the Sankaty, with that crazy concrete thing that was in there, Bob. I forgot exactly what that was about.
Yeah.
But somebody decided to fill up the stern with concrete. I don't know when that was, but we had to fix that. The propellers, after they got that out, the propellers were sticking out of the water. So there was issues with that boat, and now that boat is here running like it always did, but it had bugs. The other 2 boats had bugs too. So we got to get the bugs out, but there's a couple wasp nests that have to be definitely fixed. And the other thing is the speed I'm not worried about. The speed is going to get fixed. And it actually was running at 13.1 yesterday coming over. I've never been on Vessel Finder as much as I have in the last 2 weeks. So it's amazing. But the issue of the crews getting used to everything and those slide openings, Mark, and those hatch things, that's going to be kind of complicated to figure that out. I don't know what the answer is yet, but the way the trucks come in the morning, how that can be rectified, there's not a lot of choice of what truck can go where, like there is with the mixed load trips. So that's going to be a learning curve, and hopefully the draft letter solves that morning issue. What do you think?
I'm confident that as far as carrying the full carriage of cargo, we'll be able to do that this week. We expected the letter last night. It's supposed to come this morning. That'll solve the immediate issue with the amount of tankers that we'll bring over in the morning, plus the food trucks. I mean, that's the intent.
Yeah.
We have a lot of, it's not just the weight, it's not the draft, it's how, like, for instance, we'll see at the full moon high tide today, how the transfer bridge matches up with the stern ramp, which is very important. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. All of them are solvable. Matter of fact, we have them solved. So it's just a matter of just getting our crews used to the vessel. You know, and it's also the drivers, and I think they're doing an excellent job. It started out slow, but you know, for someone backing on a tanker and putting it in the correct position and right turn radiuses is very important, and we have excellent drivers. So kudos to terminal people for improving. It's like Bob was saying, 15 minutes off, 15 loading. I mean, that's really good for backing on. We don't have the drive-through capability like some of the other vessels have, and that affects our import time. Quite frankly, vessel speed is secondary to loading and discharging the vessel. That's where
Agreed.
Process improvements to get better at.
Yeah, that's the key right there, what you just said. And so you guys, just so you know, like, they get out of that slip and creep out of that harbor, that getting out on time or a couple minutes early is the key to everything. If you're going a little slow, it's okay, as long as they don't leave late. Just wanted to bring something else up, just, you know, the jog some memories. I don't know if Bob will remember this, but I don't know if anyone else will. When they put the houses in on the Katama and the Gay Head, that was probably like the most negative reaction of anything that happened to those boats. And eventually everyone figured it out. Not that it was any fun backing around that house, but that house was a lot worse than some of the stuff that we're experiencing right now. And then, of course, you had the Woods Hole propeller issue when those things didn't work, or whatever those piston things are, all that. We had a period of time in the spring, I forgot what year it was, 2019, I think, where that boat had to come out here for the tech people to figure out what was wrong with it, so it could run longer, so it would actually have a problem so they can fix it. So I'm confident that this is going to get solved. It's just getting everyone on the same page, Mark, is going to be the hardest thing to do with each crew, and the variables that happen according, you know, and especially in the morning. Obviously our goal is to have the every multi-stop food truck get on that 5:45, 5:30 boat every single day that can fit. That has been the goal for over about a quarter of a century, just so you know. So I hope that it works. So anyway, so thank you for everything, and hopefully we have some positive news over the next couple days.
So Nat, it was 2005, we started the lengthening of the Tamer and Gay Head, and that's when the dog houses went in on the deck. But you did point out, like the Woods Hole, when the Woods Hole first came here, there was again a learning curve there. We had an issue with the being down in the head, and there were spray rails that ultimately, working with the architect, determined that if we remove those, that it solved that, it resolved that issue, and also it was a water ballast issue on that vessel as well, that we had to fine tune. So I expect that we'll get through these issues as well with these boats, but we have the other ones coming shortly, so we need to make sure we're on top of it.
Yep. So, and again, if there's any new stuff in between this meeting, which is likely is going to be, hopefully that can be, you know, updated so that we're not up to date completely on every little thing that's happened, so that there's everyone understands. Okay, does anyone else have anything before we move on to the blue line? Oh, I love these conversations. This is like my gallery button. Like I just have to ask somebody else to help me fix it, which I did, by the way. Sorry, Allison.
Yeah. It's still morning, correct?
It is.
All right, well, good morning, gentlemen. I'm gonna keep the blue line part of this brief, since I think we all know how the blue line works now, or is there any questions on that to begin with? But from January 4th to February 4th, the blue line was utilized a whole 227 times leaving Vineyard Haven. Due to space availability, the blue line was not needed leaving Woods Hole until January 10th. And from January 10th to February 3rd, it was used a whole 125 times. I am still getting the numbers in, so we should be updating that as we go along. But generally speaking, it has been well received. And customers have been happy as far as I've been aware. I have not heard any negative feedback so far on Blue Line. We are working, at this time, the testing has been completed to the modifications that we needed to the reservation program for standby. So we can start utilizing that for our customers. What's going to happen is I'm going to be working on a how-to guide, a quick how-to guide for all ticket sellers. We're going to go out and start training our ticket sellers so they're aware of how the program works, since this is a completely new part for them. And hopefully we will be getting that going in within a week or so. And having people, if we have not enough room, they get put on a list. They can go have coffee, go run errands, and then we can call them back when we have space for them on the property. So hopefully that will go as well. That will go well as also. And this was just informational at this time. So if anybody has any questions or concerns. Mr. Salito?
Yes, I've had a couple of complaints, not from the Vineyard side, but from the Woods Hole side, and I'm not gonna bring them up right now, but I'm just gonna forward you an email that I got from somebody that I know pretty well that was a little bit upset of the reception he received at the at the ticket booth when he came in. But I'll email that to you today.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions about this? Oh, you're off the hook quick, Allison.
So this
Thanks,
was all approved on a 90-day trial basis, this winter schedule, and as we get closer to the March report, we'll be making a recommendation on the spring schedule as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Each island has its own things. All right. The SQMS update.
Okay, I'll ask Bridget Sullivan to provide that.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Bridget.
Quick update. Next week, we are planning to have our recognized organization arena conduct our, next slide. Thank you. Next week, we are planning to have our recognized organization arena conduct the MB Barnstable's ISM interim audit. And tentatively, we should also be having RENA come to our ISO quality audit in the first week of May. Next slide, please. A critical component of our safety management system is our reportable events. These are reports submitted by our location managers, terminal managers, parking lot managers, captains, and so forth. These events include vehicle accidents, injuries, illnesses, near misses, nonconformities, and opportunities for improvements. And additionally, we also capture other category, which primarily captures incidents that occur but not necessarily related to our operation, such as medical illnesses, injuries reported but not sustained at our locations, customer verbal or physical assaults, security incidents, and so forth. And with that, this graph represents exactly what we would like to see. Total reporting in 2023 was up to 387 and went down up to 404 in 2024. So the reporting is going up and our accidents and near misses are going down and our opportunities for improvement are also going up. So as we are in year 2 of our safety quality management system, we are in the process of updating our policies and procedures. In total, we have 100 policies in the system and 80 opportunities for improvement have been submitted by our management team to update those policies. In addition to that, we have 31 updates from our vessel captains and terminal managers on opportunities for improvement that we can implement within 30 days roughly. Well, one such recommendation is here on the screen. This picture is actually a picture of one of the vessel captains made a recommendation that we add reflective tape to our terminals to help illuminate the area at night. And so we're able to achieve that. And one of the reasons that's important is because those are some of the opportunities that they can see happen immediately, as opposed to a policy where it could take a little bit longer. So it's really through opportunities that like that, putting reflective tape and fenders that show our team that we're making progress and that with their input, we can truly continue to improve our quality and safety of our system, service rather. And so as a team, we're getting there and these graphs illustrate just that. I do not have any financial updates at this time as we've not yet had any audits, but I will present that next time. Any questions? Very good, thank you.
We all good?
Great job.
Thank you.
So I think it's gone a long way in terms of the crews and the terminals engaging more and starting to look at these opportunities. You know, that one with the reflective tape is it's not insignificant that, you know, they came and said, you know, about this, and you know, Bridget's now coordinated with the maintenance group to go out. Hyannis has them already, Woods Hole, and we'll be looking at the NANTUCKET and Vineyard Haven as well.
Thank you. Okay. the advertising donation policy.
Okay, I'll ask Sean to give an update on that one.
Good morning still. Just briefly, we're seeking an amendment to the charitable giving policy to designate certain quantities of our advertising space as donations to local charitable organizations. This year, we're proposing to donate approximately 25% of the overall advertising poster options to nonprofit charitable organizations that have principal offices in one of our 5 poor communities. And then we'll evaluate additional opportunities depending on the response to this program. This really came out of our my look at my portion of our strategic plan and looking at the community engagement plan. That's one of the initiatives in that, and looking for ways to utilize our assets to benefit our poor communities and to engage with them. So if approved, what we would do is basically hold a lottery for the space that we designate, and then local charities could enter the lottery on either route, and then we'll just pick lots for who gets what spaces. This isn't changing anything about the advertising policy. So I'm fulfilling the desire to never talk about the advertising policy again. But it will, charities and anyone would still be able to follow that policy and buy the spots that they want for the terms that they want. This is giving away at random different spots for different times of the year to give people some exposure for basically no cost. We'll cover the cost of production, which is about $25 a poster, so that's minimal, and handle the installation. So we would be asking for a vote of recommendation to the board on this, and I would take any questions.
Greg?
Yeah, I just had a curiosity. Is what's the demand for the advertising spots? In other words, are they sold out?
Typically, revenue-wise, we bring in about $100,000 of revenue a year. There's always some spots left. Even in the summer months, we never quite sell out of anything. Certainly, the Island Home, the bigger boats, the Island Home, and the Iyanough are the ones that sell out first, and in our, but they also have the most number of spaces. So it's a program that brings in some revenue. It doesn't bring in a ton of revenue. It covers its costs, but the reduction in revenue, I don't think would be material to any projections or anything like that. We do get a lot inquiries about donation spots, enough so that I thought it warranted a policy. But we aren't going to be crowding out any of our advertisers by our doing this. I think that and we'll evaluate, after this year, but I think there will be room for both the paid spots and the donation spots without there being a conflict.
Thank you.
Okay.
Real quick. So would you actually be putting a little kind of caveat at the bottom of the ad that the steamship is donating the ad space?
Yes,
so you ensure that you're creating a sense of community?
Yes. So as part of the policy, they would be required to provide exposure either by a logo that we would design they'd have to put on the ad, or if there was a digital thing, somehow it would have to be noted that this is a space donated by the Steamship Authority.
Great, thank you.
Okay. With that said, I don't see any more hands. I'll accept a motion from someone.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Gordon, seconded. All those in favor, Joe?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
John?
Cahill, aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next item, another interesting topic. Bob, who is taking this? Are you doing this or?
Yeah, I'll do this one, and Allison
Okay.
can help.
Okay,
Yeah, she's here for moral support. So, one of the things that, you know, when we were putting together the schedule for, the 2025 operating schedule, we, be cautious, we had put the Barnstable and Aquinnah on the Nantucket route, for the summertime. But one of the things that we had been looking at was, the ability for trucks to turn on the deck of the Barnstable or Aquinnah. And so when we first brought the Barnstable down here to Hyannis, we worked with one of our frequent shippers to conduct a vehicle load test. And with that, they provided a number of different vehicles of different configurations and sizes and lowboy, type things. So one of the first things we did was we took a 39-foot pup trailer and had the driver drive on board the vessel and to make a 180-degree turn. And the driver was able to do that without having to have to back up, and they had room to spare. So as part of that, we started looking at the efficiency of, where to have the Woods Hole, where to have the Aquinnah. And because the 5:30 trip out of Woods Hole, we don't want the trucks backing up to have the backup alarms going. But because that trip is limited to trucks under 40 feet, most of them are actually under 35 feet, that we're confident that they're going to be able to make the swing on and drive on and make the swing around without having to have to back up. And then when they get to the other side, the last ones that had loaded, which will be facing towards the bow, will do that similar, motion to get off in Vineyard Haven. So what we're looking at to do here is to switch the Aquinnah in the Woods Hole to have the Aquinnah run that service down in on the Vineyard route, and to bring the Woods Hole down here to on the Nantucket route. There's times where we need that additional interior passenger capacity on this route. So by bringing the Woods Hole down here, we accomplish that. Typically on the Vineyard route, we don't get that because there's so many more trips. The passengers end up getting evened out a little bit more, and it's a shorter route, shorter run of course as well. So what we're doing here is to have the Woods Hole operate on the Nantucket route and the Aquinnah on the Vineyard route during the June 18th through September 9th schedule.
thank you, Bob. You finished, Bob, or is there a couple more little moving parts?
Again, part of it being is we just don't want to have many vehicles backing up on that 5:30 trip, but not only did the test that we ran and talking with the drivers of the vehicles, they all feel confident that it's a process that can work and they can drive on and then do a 180-degree turn. It's one of the benefits of having that wider freight deck than the container and the gay head.
Okay. I see a lot of blank faces on this. This is now that I'm sort of like know a little bit about the Vineyard schedule from last summer, I feel like almost like I'm an expert now at this, which I'm not at all on that route, but this particular issue I do understand. The efficiency side of it, Bob, I think needs to be explained to them, like between 2023, between 2023 versus last year versus now. Last year's, we'll call it the Woods Hole experiment for the sake of argument, created a situation where that Sankety governor snafu could be eliminated with one larger vessel. Am I accurate in that statement?
Yeah, when we made the switch last year, Monday through Friday, we probably had about 97 or 98% of the space available that our original schedule had. So it was slightly less frequent sailings. But on the weekend, it actually was up around 103 to 105% of the capacity because of the using the Woods Hole instead of the Governor. The issue here is on this one is that while we anticipate that the vehicle loading capabilities will be comparable between the Aquinnah and Woods Hole, it's the passenger accommodations on this run, on the Nantucket run, because of the duration of it and being able to accommodate some more people inside the vessel.
And we also needed to have a larger freight boat on the Vineyard run to have for our shippers, because a lot of them can only go into Vineyard Haven due to the weight restrictions in Oak Bluffs. So we had to make sure that we had a boat that would hold enough trucks to help that process. And as much as we all love the Governor, she doesn't hold the same amount of trucks as, say, the Aquinnah now and the Woods Hole. So
a great car boat, not a good truck boat.
So just, I love this conversation, and this is sort of that good news stuff that doesn't ever, find its way to any print or any emails or stuff I get, and but this is one of those sort of art flazes kind of things from the past. We're kind of fixing something without actually knowing that it was going to happen. But the other piece that I want to throw in for you guys, just having that one cycle through, meaning one summer season through with these new boats. To go back to the whole Barnstable bug stuff. So the Aquinnah is going to be over there, and it's going to have a different way of working out the issues that are happening over here. Keeping up with the schedule, loading times, everyone getting used to spinning those cars around, getting everything loaded faster. It's going to be, just as important, but for different reasons. So getting the gas over, Allison, and then being able to mix those loads up throughout the day, like you would have with, let's say, a Woods Hole or a heavier capacity Governor, I guess. This is going to be good for us this summer. It's a little bit of a learning curve without anybody losing space like we did last year. I mean, we need that passenger amenity thing on that trip in the core of the summer. You could tighten it up if there was a way to do it, but it probably wouldn't work with crews and all that. But that's the only time we really have to have that boat running on that opposite the Eagle schedule, I call it, time slot. So I just want everyone to know that this is a kind of a good outcome from last year's messy decision. So how did I do? Was that okay?
Good. Question
Because it's
on
the
that.
truth. Joe, go ahead.
What's the different capacity on the passengers between the Aquinnah and the
Woods Hole? Oh boy.
So the certificate for the Barnstable is 350 passengers. The certificate for the Woods Hole is 454, I want to say. It might be 453, but it's somewhere 450.
Not one good turn deserves another. You took care of us last year. We'll take care of you this year.
You're sacrificing less than we did, Joe. I didn't want to say it, but now you kind of pushed me. Oh my God.
they were both different sacrifices last year.
Yeah. Why is that boat running that? It's a boat and it's running. So there you go. That's how I had to look at last year. But no, seriously, this is a learning curve year. I wanted to actually ask Mark some Monomoy questions that I forgot to ask. When is that boat roughly, do you think, going to be headed here? Like after the summer? I mean, I'm assuming it's late, right? Next, the fall.
Right now, she's scheduled for incline tests in, Coast Guard in June.
Okay,
So there'll be a time period. I think it's a little bit early to put a marker on it,
right.
but right now, with the efficiencies that we've gained in the learning curve at the shipyard, right now, we're doing well on schedule. So I'd rather get a little more calendar under our belt or start looking at a delivery date. But, right now, the shipyard is giving a June delivery date.
Okay. So, all right. Well, I'm just happy that we've got some of these issues that can be solved in the interim. So, all right.
I
Yeah.
wasn't anticipating it, but I didn't know whether the poor council wanted to take a position about the vessel assignments or whether you feel just that we can go ahead and make that switch. So.
Can we just have a motion for like recommended approval or
So
something
moved.
like that? Okay.
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Greg. Motion made by Joe, seconded by Greg. Sean, all those in favor? Joe?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
John?
Yes.
Eric?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Thank you so much, staff, for this. So next item is Mark.
Morning, everyone.
Mark R.
Okay, so we have the business summary for the month of December 2024. These are unaudited results, and we're right now engaged with our outside audit firm RSM to get these numbers audited and finalized. So for the passengers for the month of December, both routes combined were up 4,400 passengers at 2.5%. For the year end, we're up overall 0.7% at just over 19,000 passengers, with the Vineyard being up 1.1%. And the Nantucket route being down 1.3%, which is driven by the regular ferry passengers. Passengers vehicles carried for the month of December, both routes were up combined 2.3%. Only category that was down for the month of December were the standard fare autos on the Vineyard route. But year to date, we're down 3% or 17,745 passenger vehicles. On the Vineyard route, you can see the standard fares were down while the excursion rates were up. And on the Nantucket route, every category was down except for the excursion trucks. Big driver on the Nantucket route was the switch of the vessels that we just talked about on the passenger vehicle. Freight trucks for the month of December were pretty much flat or up 2, Nantucket being down and the Vineyard being up. While the year to date, we were up 0.9% for both routes combined. The Vineyard was up 1.5% and the Nantucket route was down 0.1%. Cars parked for the month of December, both routes combined were up 6.5% or 525 cars parked. Year to date, we're up 1.8% at just under 3,100 cars parked. With the Vineyard route being up and the Nantucket route being down, which is in relation, you can see the relationship between the passengers and the parking from the previous slides. Trip summary for the month of December. For the month of December, for both routes combined, we have 21 trips canceled for mechanical, 40 for weather, 22 for traffic, and 2 for crewing. And you can see the numbers right below that for the year-to-date categories. And in the last 2 rows of the sheet, it shows what the current percentage is in purple compared to what the previous year's percentage for each one of those cancellation categories. Overall, in 2024, we ran over 24,000 trips. Okay, financial snapshot for the month of December. We had operating revenue of 7.9 million, which was 600,000 above budget. We had other income above budget by $666,000, which was primarily in the grants category. Combining total revenue of 1.3 million. We had operating expenses down 845,000. And that combined with the other income deductions was a decrease of 826,000. Putting this together for the month of December, we have net operating loss of 1,974,000, which was 2.1 million less of an operating loss than was originally budgeted. In the month of December, we had to make an accounting entry in accordance with GASB 67 and 68, which reduced our pension expense by about $2.8 million. We're waiting on the audit firm to approve the actual report that was based on, as well as the entry. All right, okay, so the operating revenues, we were up 614,000 for the month, but year to date, we're down 2.6 million. We can see the big driver there is the automobile revenue down for the year, 4.6 million or 10%. That's both quantity and the type of vehicles that are traveling. So operating expenses, you can see the general expenses I just mentioned about the entry we had to make down 2.3 million. And that's as a direct result of that one accounting entry we had to make. But year to date, operating expenses are down 2.8 million, ironically, or 2%. Without the entry, would be virtually flat. So you can see the big driver there is for the year to date, we're down on fuel expenses this year, down about $2.1 million or 18% on fuel expenses this year. So starting for the first month of 2025, passengers are up 5.1%. Both routes, and for vehicles for the first month of January are up 3.3%, or 1,269 vehicles with both routes being up. So with that, I'd take any questions. We're still waiting on a second actual report for the post-employment benefits, where we haven't made an entry for that. So normally that's around the $100,000 on average, but depends on what the actuarial reports come in at.
Does anyone have any questions? Mark's report.
Matt, just
Yep.
one at the risk of exposing my continued learning curve here. Mark, on the cancellation lists, what does traffic mean? I apologize if that's an obvious question that I don't
Means
understand.
not enough. Means not enough.
Not
So
enough traffic.
Yeah, so that's trip consolidation, like where we have a freight boat that's running optional schedule. They'll consolidate that trip onto the big boat before and after it and not run the boat. Where scheduling is from the board when they approved the schedule this year to modify the schedule that we just talked about last session. And then crewing is if we have a crew call out.
Yeah, no, I think I understood the rest of them. I just didn't understand. So lack of traffic or consolidation is really sort of what it is. How much of the cancellations contribute to the fuel savings?
I'll get back to you on that, but if you look at the month,
I'm just curious, right? Like, because fuel savings is a good thing, unless it's only because we're not running the boats that we wish we could.
So we budgeted for 335, including net hedges, and we came in at around 291. So we have some of it is because of the trips we ran. I can get that breakdown for you. I'll email it. But some of it is you're looking at a 45-cent decrease in the actual price of fuel.
Okay.
So it's a combination of both.
So Gordon, you kind of stepped in it there a little bit.
I did?
A little, because it's old stuff mixed into today. So the crewing stuff has added one more like question in the stats. So a few years back before COVID, I can't remember where the meeting was, but it wasn't on this iPad, I can tell you that. So I was sitting there and we brought up Mark's report, or brought up extra trips, right? And there are some people in the mainland that don't want us to run an extra trip. So that led to, I could see the people's look on their face when that came up. And so what I said is, well, we're not telling anyone about the trips that we take away, right? And you just sort of ask that question.
Well, it wouldn't be a port council meeting if I didn't step in at once.
So what happens is that because we do such a great job in putting all these things in place, sometimes they can be misleading, and they get into, like, you know, sort of political questions or that kind of thing for that community or that person's feelings, or etc. And all of a sudden the steamship's adding trips, and it's like, no, we ran an extra trip because the boat's canceled from weather the day before or something like that. So it's not like adding a scheduled trip, right?
You're supplementing or backfilling.
And the thing that you're talking about is actually something we've been doing for a while. The trip consolidation term is somewhat new, but basically this started when we had to go to triple crew in the winter. Okay, we had to go to triple because of during the week, but they technically don't run or show the trip on Saturday night. And Allison will correct me, but I believe I'm correct on this. Saturday night, this time of year I'm talking about, and Sunday mornings, first two, and then the third trip sometimes runs and sometimes doesn't on Sundays, depending upon the traffic demand. But it's still crewed, and it can be plugged in and run at you know, the drop of a hat. So that's why it isn't just fuel. It's more of like the whole overall running it, you know, if it just doesn't need to run, you know. But it's there to run. Whereas in the old days, with a single crew during a week, you couldn't run the boat at all unless you called in a crew. So it's kind of it's just the nature of it. So how'd I do on that, Allison? Was that good?
Yeah, it worked.
Mr. Chair, if I may follow up on Mr. Carr's question. So the amount of gallons decreased about 6.6%. So an overall fuel was down 18.3%. So about 12% roughly is for the cost of the fuel, and about 6.6% because of the mileage, assuming that the miles per gallon, gallons per mile are equal.
Or static, yep. Okay. Excellent. My education continues. Thank you.
It does. It's good. It's very good. And also there's that spare boat issue too, Gordon. When that boat's in that slip and something goes wrong with the Eagle, it's in the slip and it can be run in some odd scenario happens, you know. So there are good things about having that boat not running in some cases where it could be used in an emergency as well. That happens, but you don't ever hear about these things. They just happen in, you know, quietly. Okay. Next thing.
Could I ask a question, Nate?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you can see me or not.
I can see you. Yep.
On the board here.
I got.
I always hate interrupting every 5 minutes, but you know, just quick to Mark Rosen. Is traffic truly consolidation? And if so, should we kind of identify it as such?
Yeah, so those trips and the consolidation where, for instance, this weekend, there was, the freight boats were put in the system. They're looking at, there might be 1 or 2 cars. They contact the customers, they remove the trips. And that's something as part of our annual review, is to looking at how often, using the data, how often are these trips being used? Should we not even put them in the system to begin with, so they're not consolidated, and have the trips go to have the reservations go to the trips that are gonna actually run? Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Eric, you'll find out that some questions don't have actual answers. They have a story, but not a real answer. It's more of like an ongoing live, you know, organic change or something.
The beauty
like
of
that.
life. Beauty of life. We're always learning.
It's complicated.
I can tell you it works. So it's just hard to explain. like the blue line. So anyway, embarkation fees.
So
Is that
real-
Bob or is
No,
that
that's me,
somebody
Ken.
else?
That's me.
Okay,
So, in your packets, the 2024 embarkation fee report summary. So last year, there was $1,027,639 remitted by the Steamship Authority to the Commonwealth for embarkation fees. On the Vineyard route was down 0.2%. The Nantucket route was down 6.4%. The Vineyard the reason for the decrease in embarkation fees was the amount of exempt passengers. From that, you're looking at the increase in the excursion fare vehicles, where the passengers in the excursion fares are exempt, along with commuters and students. And on the Nantucket route, you're looking at the raw number of passengers being down, driving that number down. So overall, last year, we submitted 1,031,000. This year, we did 1 million, almost 28,000. So the difference about $3,000 total aggregate for all the port communities. But since the inception, we've collected and submitted to the state over $19.9 million.
okay.
So with that, I'll take any questions.
Doesn't include the private carrier state report.
And that's just the steamship. That doesn't include the private carriers such as Highline.
Yeah. Okay. Are we good? Okay, thank you. Old and new business? Anyone have anything to ask or bring up? We've had a pretty robust, there's another new word, robust meeting today. So I hear that word constantly now over the last year or so. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I just, want to just say thanks to everyone again for dealing with all the different challenges that we've been facing. I think I feel like we're coming out of some of that now. I can just tell that there's been a lot of understanding, maybe is the word. I think people are starting to figure out that the steamship is maybe an unusual entity and confusing to a lot of people, but people care and they're trying hard to overcome some of the challenges that we've had in the last, year and a half or so. So anyway, public comment. Sean, help me out.
Yeah, if anyone has public comment, you can hit the raise your hand icon. Not seeing any.
Okay. I can go back to work. This is great. Appreciate everybody. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second by Greg, I think, there with his
Second,
hand.
sure.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor, Joe,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
John,
Yeah, aye.
Eric. Sorry
Aye.
about that. And Eric, aye, and chair votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, staff. Thank you,
you,
everyone,
everyone.
very much.
Nice job, Nat.
Take
Good
care,
job,
guys.
Matt.
Yep.